Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Mercer. This is a character review that has been requested quite a lot on my channel, and the reason I didn't originally do this is because when Conquest came out he was one of the original characters, but he wasn't available within Mythic tokens or on any of the RNG wheels. He was only in the supply depot and training grounds, so it's going to take a little bit longer for people to get their hands on him, but he is in an upcoming event and people are starting to get their hands on him. I myself have been fortunate enough to get to this guy, so I thought now's a good time to actually get a review out of him. Visually on the right hand side you can see he kind of looks like the 6-star Cameron Scar. We have said this on my streams a little bit. His kit is reasonably similar in some cases as well. If we check out his art on the left hand side, he is in the battle right now. He's in fight mode and he looks like he's been hit in the face. I'm not sure if he's got a bloodshot eye or he's just squinting, but he looks like he's definitely in fight mode, like we say. If we look at his stats, as a tier 5 gold mythic at level 600, he has got 13,212 attack, 14,094 defense, and 14,517 HP. This is without lieutenants, guys, so your lieutenant stats will be added on top of this. The reason I don't add lieutenants on these preview videos is because everyone's got different lieutenants, but a maxed out level 600 is going to be the same for everybody. Now he is a strong character and he is considered a tank, a mythic character of course, and his allegiance is a member of the Knights, so he is going to be joining characters like Aaron, Wayland, Herschel in that group of characters. Now we'll go across to check out his Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Forcing Their Hand. It's a 55 AP cost rush, so pretty fast. Deal 150% damage to a line of enemies. Those enemies get taunt for 2 turns. Heal this character for 30% of their max HP. This character gets focus for 2 turns. So a lot going on here. The rush is very fast. That does mean that if you use him on a defense team, which I think you probably would because he's a tank, he's not going to need AP on attack to get a natural turn 3 rush. That's always something to note. You can go for HP and defense on his weapon to make him even more tankier than he would be with just one of those stats. The 150% damage to a line of enemies is just a little bonus that will do quite a lot of damage against characters that have no defensive stats, but it's not going to be too game changing. I would have preferred it to be bleed, honestly, but there can be other parts of his kit, and I will say there are other parts of his kit that are going to amplify this damage a little bit. Those enemies getting taunted for 2 turns is nice. That can obviously be 2 characters for 2 turns, so that's 4 separate taunted attacks. Or if he attacks one character, be it the central character, or if there's only one character alive in one of those lines, it would just be 1 character for 2 turns. Him getting a 30% heal is nice. His base HP doesn't seem that high, but obviously with the lieutenant system on top, mods, leader skills, weapon, I myself have got my Mercer to nearly 40,000 stat in HP. I'll show you my Mercer near the end of the video just to give you an idea of the kind of stats that he can get to. Him getting focus for 2 turns is kind of cool, I guess. I don't really understand why that's in there, what that's going to be stopping. It will stop confuse and it will stop taunt, but we don't see too much of that on attack teams. There's like some weapons that can do that. For instance, Governor's Pistol can obviously confuse characters, so this would stop that from being able to actually happen. He would just sort of ignore the fact that he's confused while he has focus up. So I guess there's a little bonus there, but that isn't really that big a deal on this rush. Okay, so we are going to use Mercer here on an attack team, but he is mainly a defense team character. It's just simply easier for me to show you how his kit works when he's on attack. It's as simple as that. When he is on attack, or any character's on attack, I can dictate who I rush, obviously. So if the top line had their rushes 100% ready, I could decide, hey, I'm going to rush this line, taunt them, they're not going to be able to rush. Whereas on a defense team, it doesn't always work that way. He could also rush the central character by themselves. He will generally try and focus characters that are fast, so he would hope that he would rush the bottom line, which would have 2 fast characters. For instance, you could have like a Tyrese and an Ivanova in the same team. I would not put them in a line just because of Mercer if you were going to try and line up an attack team. So we'll just rush the bottom line just to show you how it works. We're going to do a bit of damage. The damage is not going to be huge. These are defense team characters getting a defense boost. On an attack team, they're not going to have as good defensive stats and stuff, but we're going to just defend things out, and what you're going to notice is how much AP that Mercer actually takes. As long as Garrett, Alice, and Maggie don't attack him, we'll actually see what happens here. So it's going to be Doc, and it's going to be... Okay, so only the taunted attacks came in, but you can see how much AP he gained. He gains 5 per taunted attack guaranteed. And then he gains AP based on how much HP he loses. It's a percentage of his HP he loses. So the higher his HP, the less bonus AP he's going to gain from those attacks. But the 5 from the taunted attacks is always going to happen. If we look at the skill upgrades, you can see at tier 2, he gets focus for 2 turns to self. So without tier 2, he's not going to have that. But you're definitely going to want to tier this guy up to tier 2 before really using him. And at tier 3, you get a 50% bonus. So originally it's going to be 100%. But again, tier 2 and tier 3 are going to be fairly easy to come by. You don't have to actually use military supplies here to get the best out of this rush. The second you get him to tier 3, you're going to have everything unlocked and possible for you. Now we'll go across to check out Mercer's signature move. It's called Call Them Out. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 2, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Attack an enemy for 150% damage. That enemy gets taunt for 1 turn. So in terms of the initial cooldown, it just plays into what you'd hope is the norm for a lot of characters, which is basic attack, signature move, rush. That's how it's going to play for the first 3 turns. This is ideal for a defense team character. He does gain a little bit more AP that way, and on a 55 AP character, that is kind of required if you want him to get that natural rush on turn 3 without having AP on attack on the weapon. The cooldown of 2 turns does mean that cycle is just going to continue. However, because he's getting taunted attacks in there, he could potentially start rushing every other turn. So it could potentially go something like basic attack, signature move, rush, basic attack, rush, signature move, rush, basic attack, rush, signature move, rush. So it could be really like spammy eventually once he gets rolling. It's just those initial 3 turns is where like he powers up effectively. 150% damage on this signature move is the same as his rush. It's not huge. There are going to be other parts of his kit that are going to amplify this, but it's mainly the taunt that's going to be nice here. However, there are obviously some issues in the game right now when it comes to countering this, especially on that initial cooldown of turn 2. Negan's out there with his focus leader skill, and that does mean anyone who gets taunted attacked will just not be taunted for that turn. It's only going to work the first time around against a Mercer lead. A lot of people are using Negan, so the potential is there, at least right now, for that to be an issue. And it can be a further issue if someone is using an attack while taunted mod. You know, if anyone's got impair, taunt, or slow on their kit, it potentially could make their attack while slowed, attack while taunted, attack while impaired combat mod amplify the damage massively. And certain characters can take heavy advantage of this. Very early rushing characters or characters with very powerful signature moves early on as well. Characters like Sandy and Tyrese are going to have a field day if they do get taunted with that sort of mod on them. Okay, so we're going to test this out now, and I'm not going to do any attacks except taunted attacks. I'm going to defend on everybody. Mercer is on the defense team, and we want to just basically see how naturally spammy he can get without actually focusing him and giving him any AP at all. Now you can see that he's actually got his rush already. He will be taunted attacked, but he had his rush already. Now potentially, there is potential that Glenn could have had an AP drain mod, and it could drain his AP in that situation, and he would not be able to rush. That is always the downside of taunted attacks. But you can do that with a basic attack anyway. Like, if any of my characters have AP drain right now, I could attack anyone and potentially, drain their AP. What the taunt is going to do is make it so I have no choice, and that's why taunt's annoying. We're going to defend again. He will rush the bottom line, I'm assuming, and should do a reasonable amount of damage. Here comes the damage. 2 taunted attacks come in, and you can see he's already gained AP, considering he has not gained any AP from any other source. There's no AP gain from other characters. That is the AP just from the taunted attacks. We're going to go again. He did a basic attack, and he is going to do it exactly as I assumed. It's going to be basic attack, signature move, rush, basic attack, and now he's going to rush again. So another rush is going to come in. And what he should do now is he should do his signature move. I think he should do his signature move. He is going to do his signature move. And then the taunted attack's going to come in. And then he should do his rush again. So again, basic attack, signature move, rush, basic attack, rush, signature move, rush. He's just going to be extremely spammy after that initial 3 turns. So if you can keep him alive for that initial 3 turns, that's where he's going to go nuts. We'll see the upgrades on his actual signature move. At tier 4, he gets 10% damage and no usage limit on the actual signature move itself. So it goes from 140% to 150%, but it also goes to unlimited. I'm not sure what it would be before that, but it would have a limited amount of uses. It's just as simple as that. And then on tier 5, he would have a 20% damage boost and -1 cooldown. And that is not going to affect the initial cooldown, so you could maybe see a tier 4 still being usable, but it would stop the rotation of how it was happening before. Instead of doing a signature move after the first 3 turns, he would still do a basic attack at a certain point, so he wouldn't be gaining as much AP, and he wouldn't potentially be controlling as many characters, because he could potentially taunt 3 characters in certain turns. So that is worth noting for sure, but I don't think that's that big a deal. The bigger deal is the fact that when he's not tier 5, he's not getting as much stats, and on a defense team, that is going to make the bigger difference, in my opinion. Now I'll move across to his mythic abilities, Mercer's passives. These are going to be the most important parts of his kit in terms of what amplifies what, how he could be built, what you've got to take into consideration in terms of his stat balance, that sort of thing. If we look at his first one, it is just going to be this strength. This is going to be given to all tanks. 20% critical hit resistance is good. It's going to block a lot of different things. Collateral damage can't proc if you block a critical hit. Rampage cannot proc if you block a critical hit. So it can be very hard to deal with tanky teams, teams with lots of tanks. My defense team currently has 4 tanks on it. So I think that's going to be quite annoying to deal with, just based on the fact that 20% of the time, I'm blocking your potential, boosted damage, which is, I think, going to be quite frustrating. The next one is called Extreme Berserker. So obviously you can see part of his kit ahead. 15% increase to the attack bonus from the Berserker specialist skill. Now this is obviously going to amplify or further amplify the amplification that Berserker does in the first place. We'll look at Berserker in just a second, but that is just going to be a bigger boost. Eye for an eye, when targeted by attacks and abilities, reflects 60% of incoming damage. That is obviously potentially crazy, but you've got to be very careful in how his stat balance is to get the best out of that. If you have too much defense, you're not going to be reflecting enough. And if you have too much HP, you're going to be taking huge amounts of damage and potentially be one-shot. There are characters that can potentially block reflect too. So if someone has a fully maxed out Sandy, I think she has a 40% chance to completely block reflect damage. So as much as she's not going to do it every time, there is a slight counter there. Obviously, there's trait damage as well, which is not ideal for Mercer. And the last one is called Back At Ya. When attacked by an opponent with a taunt status, the attacker gets 15% of this character's attack in bleed damage for 1 turn. Now, you were seeing that in the tests I was doing. The attack stat he had is probably going to be around the attack stat that he's going to have when it comes to using him on a defense team. So it's going to be around about a 3,500 to 4,000 bleed. Against defense team characters with the fast hitting weapons and stuff, you saw it wasn't really doing enough to take them down with his damage on top. But against offensive ones that don't have any sort of heals or defensive, capabilities, unless there is a healer in that team, it is just going to bring that HP down. And obviously that bleed's going to stack with any other bleed in anyone else's kit. So obviously you'll just be taking out those low HP damage dealers even quicker. Okay, so I'm going to focus Mercer on a defense team, and we're going to see how some of these passes work, hopefully. Now, the first one I'm going to do is just a basic attack with Pete Anderson, and it is going to give him an attack boost due to his Berserker. Now, Berserker normally gives 20%, but this is going to give him a 15% boost. It isn't a 15% boost of the 20%, it's actually just added on top. So, nearly doubles the amount of attacks that he's going to get just from being basic attacked, which is obviously great. And this multiplies with each other. So like if I do it again, it's not going to go up to 70%. It goes up to a little bit higher. And if I do it again, like we're going to attack him a few times, so you're going to see how high it can go. We're going to attack him again. And you're going to see some reflect come back. You can see some counter attack damage. That's a 60% reflect. On these basic attacks, it's not going to be, massive. But on signature moves, that's where it's going to come in. You can see now he's up to 146% attack boost. And this is where his rush will start doing massive amounts of damage. That 150% suddenly goes to like nearly 400% damage to a line of enemies right now. And then obviously if it goes higher and higher and higher, it can go up to like thousands of percent damage if you're not careful. Now I'm going to see if I can, it's a 20% chance here. If Mirabelle hits a crit, it could block it and potentially stop her from doing a Guardian Shield and Rampage here. Let's see if it works. It didn't block it, but she is going to get reflect damage. But she didn't really do that much damage just because he is, like I said, really tanky. We're going to use the signature move now of Dwight, and I'm hoping for a reasonable reflect here. Dwight's going to do 8k damage, and it's going to get 5k reflected. And this is what he's going to bring to the table. And look how close to a natural turn 2 rush he's going to have. On his next turn, he's going to be so close. So if I do too much damage this turn, I potentially could just give him a rush. And we do. Now, I could potentially finish him off with Dwight, but we're not going to do this because we're not trying to just show you how much you can easily just focus one character and obliterate them. You can do that with any defense team character in the game. You can focus and obliterate. Now he's going to rush, and you'll see his HP go up based on the fact that he has got a 30% heal on his rush, and you can see that attack has just been so massively amplified just because of the Berserker bonuses that he's got on top. So this is where, you saw how he can get quite spammy before. If you over-focus him, you're going to buff that spamminess as well. Now we'll check out those upgrades on those passives. You can see at tier 1, he gets the Extreme Berserker. At tier 2, he gets the Strength from being a tank. At tier 3, he gets Eye for an Eye. So the first half, 30% of incoming damage taken will be reflected. At tier 4, he gets the Back Hatcher, which is the boost to Berserker. And then at tier 5, he gets the second half of Eye for an Eye. So he gets the extra 30%. Again, kind of like I was talking about with the previous parts of his kit, you don't necessarily have to get him to tier 5 to get the, quite a core out of his skills here. But you do need to get him to tier 5 to get that big stat boost. And it is just worth getting Eye for an Eye to maxed out, because 60% reflect is always going to be dangerous. The only downside of the reflect is it will give AP. So it's just like 66 AP characters on attack have to get 1 AP somewhere, and they would get it from his reflect at that point. Now, you saw that he gets boost to Berserker in his passives, and we'll just go over Berserker quickly. Whenever this character takes damage, they gain 20% attack until the end of their next turn, in addition to any existing attack increases, including prior activations of this skill. So if you attack him 5 times, I think we saw it get up to like 300+%, and that could happen. And then he gets his rush. Okay, so we're going to do this with a slightly different team, just basically to keep the team alive, just to see how it works. We're going to focus him with 4 attacks, and you can see it goes up to 232%. Let's keep an eye on the percentage, because it will basically wear off almost, it will seem like instantly, but it will still work for his turn. So his basic attack will have this boost on it. And it goes up to 348.4%. And he just did 11k damage on a basic attack. Yeah, and he almost has full AP for a natural turn 2 rush. I mean, I'm going to focus him. You wouldn't want to do this. We're going to give him that boost again. You can see that Glenn got boosted up to full HP because I have got 4 fast healing weapons here, just to, like I said, just to keep people alive. Now, this rush is going to be massively boosted, and it probably will take out the bottom line. Or at least it should do a reasonable amount of damage. Actually, what was that? Is that another 11k damage against... well, actually... I keep forgetting that the rush base itself isn't huge. And while I'm saying 11k isn't that much, these, this is Glenn with a defensive weapon, and he is more of a defensive character than, let's say, offensive Ivanova. Ivanova is going to have no bonuses. She's going to have less HP in general. I have got her with a HP weapon in this one because she has got fast healing, like I said. So she's going to take a lot more damage, and she will be more focused. Like Tyrese and Ivanova will have more chance to be focused by Mercer if they are attacking teams with him in. Now we'll check out Mercer's base weapon. It is 5-star in this case, but originally it is 4-star, just worth noting. Mercer's Reprisal Spiked Shield, 25% HP base, a medium bonus to AP when taking damage, and it has base reflect on it already. When being attacked, a better chance to deal 80% of the damage to the enemy. So obviously the base weapon isn't that great. It is also worth noting that this isn't the best reflect you can get either. I think this is a tier 2 or a tier 3 reflect. I think you can get up to 120% reflect on weapons from the armory, but I don't think reflect is the way to go. You want to go for something that's controlling here. You want to be making it so that he's not a window and, can't be attacked by characters that do things like bleed and burn and damage over time. Damage over time is the kind of like anti-tank strategy. So you obviously want to stop that from being an easy target for Mercer. So this is Gold Mythic Mercer, and like I said, I did get quite a few requests for this guy. I have got him to tier 5 already. I did say I was going to show him in my setup in terms of how much stats I've got on him so far. And this is what he looks like for me. He is level 885. I have only got him up to 525 naturally. I haven't used any steel medals on him yet. He has got quite a lot of lieutenant levels, however. And you can see he's nearly got 40k in each stats. Those last 75 levels do give quite a lot of stat. He is very, very weapon dependent though. He needs a very specific weapon for him. Quite a lot of the mythic characters do. And I don't have that weapon built, honestly. I don't have a double stat weapon with AP drain on it already and something nice in the 4 slot. I have the absolute defense weapon, but I don't think that's going to work on him in terms of like what I would want to get out of him as a character. So I might have to build a very specific weapon for him myself, but I'm working on Governor right now and that weapon's being hard as hell to get, so we'll have to see. I think the elusive carry-ons weapon would be great for this guy because of the taunted attacks. It does mean he could potentially do, if you put AP drain on that, could do AP drain characters and not give away any AP because of the elusive. So I think that combination could actually be really good. If you've got the carry-on sword that was in leagues a couple of seasons ago, he could utilize that extremely, extremely well with double stats. So that's my preview and thoughts on Mercer, guys. Please leave me your thoughts on Mercer in the comments down below. Have you got this character already? Is there a character that you actually want to get your hands on? Do you think he'd be useful on your defense team? Let me know, like I said, in the comments down below. If you did find this video enjoyable or informative, please hit the like button and share the video with people in your faction if you do think they'll be interested in it as well. It does help. The shares are always useful. I do appreciate all the shares. Thank you very much, guys. If you are not a subscriber on my channel already, the subscribe button is there for you to hit whenever you feel comfortable. But that is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.